Welcome back into Occupy Democrats on 9/11, and in this breaking story, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and that, of course, is the rotten tree of Donald Trump and his really overexcitable, idiotic son, Donald Trump Jr. I'll show that breaking story in a few seconds because you will not believe what this guy has now said, and he is famous for just rambling at a really high pace like this.
The media runs right away. It's Russian disinformation. There's literally zero evidence that it's Russian disinformation. The director of national intelligence said it. And by the way, more importantly, the FBI said it. And I don't say that because I think the FBI has more credibility. I say that because it's pretty clear that the FBI has done whatever they possibly could to hurt Donald Trump. So if they're even coming out and saying this, meaning the upper levels of the FBI, the door kickers love us, not so much the bureaucrats at the top.
That's Trump Jr. right there, but in this breaking story, you will not believe what he just said on the Megyn Kelly show. I'm going to show it to you in a few seconds, but let's look at a little intertwined difference between Elizabeth Warren, Democrat, and Nancy Mace, Republican in the House. This
is just wrong. And my heart goes out to his family, to his friends. But we just cannot be a country that turns to violence when we disagree.
I'm going to say this. Democrats own what happened today. I am devastated. My kids have called panicking. All the kids of every conservative in the country called panicking. Just because you speak your mind on an issue doesn't mean you get shot.
Well, one thing Congress can do is gun safety. Right. Why don't you start with the President of the United States? Right? And every ugly meme that's posted and every ugly word.
By that logic, do Republicans own the shooting of the two Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota?
Political.
Isn't this on both sides?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, she'll keep screaming.
No, I'm asking.
We don't know what condition Charlie Kirk is in right now. Some raging leftist lunatic put a bullet through his neck, and you want to talk about Republicans right now? No.
He's posting things like he did just a couple of days ago, throwing people out of helicopters and showing himself as some kind of big chest-beating threat.
No, I'm asking
not at all.
You said the Democrats have donated
Democrats own this.
And still.
But isn't there a problem with political violence across the spectrum?
Yeah, we're talking about Charlie Kirk right now. That's the subject of this that we're talking about right now. Democrats own this 100%.
I just don't want to hear this from the Republicans.
Nancy Mace is no match for Donnie Jr. when he gets going. And this breaking story is unbelievable because, Donald does get a little excitable like this.
With your host, Donald Trump Jr.
Let's see which way the wind is blowing. We're like, wow, it's crazy. You don't have ideas?
And all the finger quotes you can handle.
The Inflation Reduction of Violence of January 6th. I hope Trump comes.
I'm going to punch him out. This is my moment. I've been waiting for this. For trespassing on Capitol grounds. I'm going to punch him out. I'm going to go to jail. And I'm going to be happy.
So in this breaking story, to be as divisive and angry as possible, Don Jr. just said some amazing, disgusting things on the Megyn Kelly show. Here is the story. Breaking news. Donald Trump Jr., in quotes, trans people are more dangerous than Al-Qaeda. On the anniversary of 9/11, Donald Trump Jr. unleashed a stinging rebuke of transgender people that compared them to the terrorists who committed the attacks. In quotes, I can't name, including probably like Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, a group that is more violent per capita than the radical trans moment, the president's son said during an appearance on the Megyn Kelly show on Thursday. He went on to say that there are probably many, in quotes, mass killings that the public does not know about, in quotes, because you're not allowed to talk about the truth. I'm sure people are totally sane after jacking themselves up on hormones given to them by some rainbow hair freak doctor because they think men can somehow magically become women, the president's son added. The virulent rant came one day after Charlie Kirk, who Trump Jr. called a little brother, was gunned down at the age of 31 during an event in Utah. Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings and transgender people when he was shot in the neck by an unnamed suspect who is still at large. On Thursday morning, a Wall Street Journal report indicated that investigators found ammunition featuring, in quotes, expressions of transgender and anti-fascist ideology in the magazine of the rifle believed to have been used in the shooting. The Journal's report cited unnamed law enforcement sources, and a senior law enforcement official told the New York Times that the report has not been verified by analysts from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, aka ATF. The Journal report came 2 hours after the conservative podcaster Steven Crowder posted an unverified screenshot that he claimed was taken from an internal ATF email discussing the bullet casings. Trump Jr. and Kelly both seized on the report, which comes weeks after a transgender person killed 2 children at a church in Minneapolis. In the aftermath of that shooting, the Justice Department reported weighed proposals to restrict the right of transgender people to own guns. Earlier this year, the Trump administration barred transgender people from serving in the military and restricted where transgender inmates could be held in federal prisons. Last month, Trump Jr. took to X and wrote, in quotes, "It's almost like guns aren't the problem," along with a list of mass shootings he claimed had been committed by trans people. He expanded on that claim on Thursday, telling Kelly that, in quotes, "It feels like trans people have done practically every mass shooting in America for the last few years." Data from the Gun Violence Archive, which has been tracking mass shootings since 2013, found in 2023 that 0.1% of cases involved a transgender person. Several other archives have reported that somewhere between 96% and 98% of mass shootings have been committed by cisgender men since tracking began. In addition to his claims about transgender people, the president's son echoed his comments, selectively blaming far-left rhetoric for escalating political violence. In quotes, "The reality is, we've seen they're not willing to be nice," Trump Jr. said about Democrats. "The violence is only going one way." While the deadly attack on Kirk, the 2 attempted assassinations on Trump last year, and a 2017 shooting at a congressional baseball practice all notably targeted conservatives, there have been several violent attacks on Democratic politicians in recent years as well. In 2018, a Trump supporter attempted to send pipe bombs to Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. In 2022, Paul Pelosi was attacked with a hammer by a man who was trying to find his wife, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The president later joked about that attack at a state party convention in 2023. Most recently, in July of this year, the Speaker of the Minnesota House, Melissa Hortman, was slain along with her husband by a man who had a list of 45 other Democrats he aimed to target. As the search for the shooter who killed Kirk continued on Wednesday night, President Donald Trump addressed the nation and labeled the deadly violence, in quotes, "the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. Radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives," the president said. Some Democratic politicians, including Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat from Massachusetts, were quick to point out that the president frequently demonizes his own political opponents, a tendency that his eldest son emulated on Thursday. During the podcast episode, Donald Trump Jr. said that Democrats are actually insane and decried, in quotes, "craziness and insanity coming out of TV networks such as MSNBC. In quotes, "It is truly sick," he said. Now, we know that just like his father, they're just trolling MAGA with these statements. This is actually, sadly, very similar to the narrative that Charlie Kirk has espoused since he became a public figure related to Republicans, the GOP, and the creation of Turning Point USA. But of course, Donald Trump Jr. had to throw the most gasoline on the fire possible because he's Daddy Donnie's son. This is not unusual for a Trump or a Trump Jr. in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I do find it amazing that everyone seems to casually also forget that Gabby Gifford, to this day in Arizona, Mark Kelly's wife, was shot almost to death randomly one day in Arizona where she was an elected official. So we know there's never going to be any balance. There's no reason to be looking for any balance. But let's just understand that when you start trying to equate a political party, either one, in this country, on 9/11 to Al-Qaeda, or even if you did it to Saudi Arabia or Saddam Hussein or anything else, no. 3,000 people died on this day 24 years ago. And while the assassination of Charlie Kirk is in so many ways un-American and ridiculous, people constantly talk about we need to get back to who we are. Well, Don Jr., that is who they and a lot of us are at this point in this country, and we can't turn our back and pretend it doesn't exist. You guys, stay frosty.